Welcome back to Car Mechanic Simulator 2021. Today we are looking at this new car that we've just purchased from the auction. This is a 2018 Nissan 370Z Nismo. We have featured this car previously when we did our look at the Nissan DLC. We now have our hands on one ourselves. This car does have a V6 DOHC VQ37 VHR engine, and we bought this from the auction for the staggering price of £64,397, but we would automatically make a profit right now if we sold it as is. It's a lot of money to buy a car for us to do up to factory standards, but it's the first one I came across and I couldn't say no to it. I think I set myself a limit of 70,000. We got it for 64, so not too bad. Now we are going to rebuild it factory standard as we always do, as it's the first one we've ever done. With that though, most of the car is in very good condition, so a lot of it will just need a bit of rework, a bit of fixing. There will be some parts we will have to purchase, the bits that are perishable, so brake pads, things like that, because we are going to do this car to 100% as always, as if it's just rolled off the factory floor. That is the plan today. So here we are. So we'll take the gearbox off so we can get the engine out. Look at this. It's so nice to work on a car that isn't all rusty and broken. You know, the only expenses are the perishable parts. Everything else we should be able to fix. Costs are going to be low. Hopefully a bit decent profit come the end. But time will tell. Okay, so we're going to get the engine crane. We can take the engine out, and we can have a proper look at this engine as well. We did briefly look at it during the Nissan DLC episode, to be fair. So what can we see to start with? Well, it's got covers, which are they're really nice. They're a bit in the way, but they're not too bad. Right, let's drain all the liquids. We're still not getting a fine for liquids if we can help it. Always try and avoid that where possible. So brake fluid first. We've got the power steering liquid as well. We have already drained the oil, as you've probably seen. And if we turn this round, we've got the coolant reservoir, and then should be the window washer reservoir as well. There we go. And something different about this car, you may have spotted it when we came into the engine bay, but it has something on top of the engine. It is the engine cover. Now this needs to be removed before we can remove the engine. So there we are, that's the engine cover gone. So now we should be able to take this engine out. There we go. So we're going to put this on the stand in the workshop, and we'll take this apart. As always, we'll speed up the taking apart and put back together. We'll say a few things in between. This is what it looks like before, and now we're going to take it apart. It's a big engine. It is a very big lump for a V6, but we'll take off the top plates first, and then off we go. There we are, just coming to the end of taking all apart now. Last bit's coming out. So we'll take this away, we'll fix everything we can, we'll buy the perishables that we need to buy. We'll start putting it back together. So that's everything brought and repaired. We had to buy certain things that we knew we'd had to, like the, I'm not going to remember the name now, the pistons and piston rings. They're perishable, so we have to buy new ones, unfortunately. But here we go, fixing it all back together. And we'll be done in a couple of minutes. So just finishing off putting it back together now. Last throttle to go on, out of the 2 throttles it does have. And then we've got the covers to go on. First engine cover. And second engine cover just there. And then we'll get a good look at this. There is no difference really, because it wasn't broken down or rusted or anything like that. There's no real difference in the engine. It looks the same as when we started, which is amazing. But the engine is now done. So we're going to move off and start taking apart the suspension. That's the next plan. And again, we'll speed this up. Most of this, again, we can fix. There's a few perishables we'll have to replace, but not too many. We'll see you when we've taken this apart. Okay, so we're nearly done taking it all apart now. The last few little bits coming out. And what we're going to do, we're going to slide nicely into putting it all back together. As I say, there's a few perishables we'll have to replace. Most of it can be fixed. Rubber bushings will have to be replaced. It's going to be good for a scrap. We'll actually gain quite a bit ready for a next 1-star or 2-star build, depending on what we do next. So we're getting there. and that is all the car put back together bar the engine bay. So we just now need to take apart what's left in the engine bay, all the parts that were just left over. Hopefully we can fix the majority. There's a few things we won't be able to, but as I say, anything we have to scrap because we can't fix is good for our scrap. We need that for our 1-star, 2-car star, 3-car star builds. We're trying to get them done. Obviously, it's all depends on when we find these cars, as we have turned off where all the cars being available everywhere. We turned that off. If you haven't seen the last episode, I think it was the last episode, we mentioned that and showed that we left it off. So you can't find every car everywhere. I want that element of realism still. I want that discovery excitement of when you find something you've been looking for and it's there. We're still yet to find an electric car for us to rebuild. That's kind of the one thing I'm really holding out for. It may be we have to do it from an auction, maybe. I'm not sure. But that's the hope. So that is the engine bay just about done. Fuse box to go. The nice thing about buying this from the auction for the price we bought it for is the fact that everything is in such good condition. Yes, we're putting it all back to factory standard, 100% in and out, but at the same time, it's still in a very good condition. So there isn't a massive amount of work to do. The cost of repairing is low because it's already good condition. The chance of failing in the repairing is low because it's in good condition. It does make life a lot easier. There we go. So that's the engine bay done. And now we'll put it all back in. It's a bit of back and forth, I know, and we have sped up quite a bit. And that's also a conscious effort to keep the length of the videos down for you guys. But also, there wasn't much to see or do because it was a straight take it apart, fix it back together, take it apart, fix it, put it back together. It's a simple rebuild. This would have been perfect for 1-star build, to be honest, because we know every part, we're not going to miss anything. It should be a simple reconstruction. But unfortunately, it's a factory rebuild. So a little bit out of luck there. That would have been nice. It would have made my life easier. Because on the 1-star builds and going forward for the 2-star and the 3-star, I have to build the car twice because I have to put all the parts back together once fixing, and that doesn't get shown. And then I take it all back apart, star it all up, then put it back together, which you guys see once it's all been starred. But so I don't miss much, I try and put it back together first to make sure I've got everything, if that makes sense. So it's a long drawn out process when we start cars. We still haven't managed to do a performance version of anything yet. I'm looking forward to that. It's a long way off, I think. But we are noticing so far that the 1-star vehicles are definitely not worth doing. Financially, they're not worth it. They may be when we get to 2-3 stars, but we haven't made it that far of any particular car yet. And we haven't even done one of each car. We're still a long way off, and this car's been added to the game all the time. So there's still a lot more to see and a lot more to do in terms of variation of cars, our leaderboards as well. So we have got a lot more content from Car Mechanic Simulator coming constantly to the channel. As long as I can keep up, that's the main thing. Okay, fuse box all going back in place. And then we would need to look at the underside of the car. We've got the exhaust to do. We've got to put the engine back in as well, actually, to be fair. Can't forget that one, can we? Fuse box top, lid, the top. We've got the radiator. I couldn't get my words out. The radiator housing, or fan housing. There we go. And that is everything they're done. Right, we can put the engine back in. And then we can get rid of the engine crane. And then let's go underneath the car. Let's do all that first. So all the exhaust that we bought brand new, you can't fix exhaust. I kind of understand why. It does perish. But it's one of those things I could have avoided, but there's nothing we can do. So exhaust had to be bought brand new as well. Try and get the angle on the starter motor. There it is. We did manage to fix quite a bit. Okay, one in. There we go. Now a lot of the parts we had to buy, like the exhaust, is Nissan parts. So they are a little bit more expensive. I did notice that. There's a bit of a premium for these branded cars when it comes to parts. Luckily, catalytic converters, standard. So middle mufflers as well, pretty standard. Nothing special about those. And then the rear ones, they seem quite standard as well. There was I know they're not, they're Nissan. just saw the symbol. So there was a few premium parts just because of Nissan being Nissan. Okay, last thing we need to do in the engine bay now, we need to do all the liquids, and that's about it for the car itself, for the main engine workings of the car. That is that, everything done. So while we're filling up the liquids, I hope you're all enjoying these episodes and the content on the channel. We are also sharing the rebuild videos, so factory rebuilds 1 stars, just the rebuild videos. We're doing that on our Facebook page as well. So if you'd rather watch on Facebook, they are there. They are live at the same time as the YouTube episode. The only ones that don't go on to Facebook are the episodes that are story cars, stuff like that. It's just the rebuilds on Facebook. I just thought it was nice to have it over in two places. That's why I did it. But if you enjoy the content, don't forget to subscribe or a like on the episodes does really help. If you're watching this on Facebook, a like on the video and a follow on the page, massively appreciated. One thing to think about, I did struggle to find the oil for this, and you'll notice we can't take it off. Now, it took me a minute, but then I realised we actually have to take off the engine cover before we can refill the oil. That's a pain. You'd think when they built the car, they would realise, okay, we can't quite get the oil in there without taking the engine cover off. Why don't we just put it slightly more to the side, or make a hole in the engine, or something. To take off an engine cover seems a bit silly. There we go. Just thought I'd mention that. It was kind of a little bit of a bugbear for me, to be fair. But yeah, so if you're enjoying the content, thank you very much. I massively appreciate the support. And there's lots of different content out on the channel during the week, every week, plus the live streams as well. And now, this is the car just about finished. So, we just need to put the engine cover back on, and that is it done. Close the bonnet. Right, we're going to start taking the body part work off. There's no point showing you guys this. There's not a massive amount to do with it. And we'll be back once we've painted the car and all the other little bits and pieces that just need to be finished off. So here we are. Now you may notice the car hasn't changed colour. Well, that's because I didn't see the reason to. It looked good as it was. I didn't think there was a reason to change it, so I kept it as it was. And I think it looks nice. But that is the car 100% rebuilt. I think we've done a very good job. It's not taken too long. So now it's time for the track. Where do we think this will come on the lap time and the top speed tracks? Time to find out. So we are starting our 4th lap, and this was our fastest of the 5. The Nismo wasn't too bad. It had a lot of power, and I really liked, you can see it getting a bit wayward there, I really liked the speedometer and the change in the colour, and the fact it was a Nissan one, it was different to the others. I really liked that little attention to detail. But here we go. I did like the Z as well on the steering wheel. Control wise, it can be a bit fidgety under acceleration around the corners, so you have to be very careful with this car. Brakes wasn't brilliant on the brakes either. It's as if it took too much speed, brakes couldn't handle the speed. That was the way it came across. You can see with our lap times, so we gradually improved. The 154 was a standing start, and we can improve to 152 and then a 147. But this is our fastest. Our last lap actually was around the 147 mark as well actually, but this was slightly better. Not bad on the brakes there, but then just trying to bring it round. It doesn't turn brilliantly either. For a small compact car, I thought this would be a lot better than it was. But it does have speed. That's the one thing it has going for it. It just lacks the traction, it lacks the control in the corners. You kind of have to over brake, which obviously makes you go slower. So that was the big concern with this car. Only a few more corners to go now. And we're getting close to see what this is going to do on the leaderboards. Over 200 kilometers an hour over that straight. Braking nicely. Just trying to bring it round. Penultimate corner. Last corner coming up. And as we crossed the line, we did a 146.506. That's 3rd on the top speed leaderboard. Lap time leaderboard, sorry. 3rd place. That wasn't bad, and I was actually impressed with that because it didn't feel that good on track. Now, top speed. This is the important one. Where are we going to end up? How fast can it go? So we're hitting 200 kilometers per hour. We hit that on the track as well, which is quite cool. Don't do that very often. Still climbing. Still climbing. 230 now. We're getting to the realms of the top part of the leaderboard. And this car is going to max out at 259 kilometers per hour, which is 160.935 miles per hour. Third place on the top speed leaderboard too. So, 2 third place finishes on both leaderboards. I think that's really good. I'm pretty impressed. So obviously we've washed it, and hence the shine. So we spent £15,167 fixing the car up, including the cost of buying of £64,397. We completely spent £79,564. We're selling for £121,278. That's a profit of £41,714. Not a bad profit, not a bad car. The performance version would be incredible. Hopefully we'll get onto that at some point in the future. Thank you very much for watching this episode, and we'll see you in the next one.